Khamzat Chimaev is going to dominate Dricus Du Plessis this weekend at UFC 319. This is my UFC 319 main event prediction. Let's get into it. Pour one out for the boy Dricus, man. The plot armor has ran out. We are finally out of the dark period of the UFC pay-per-views. I feel like we just went through a massive stretch of absolute snoozers. A decent card, not even decent, let's be honest, it's an amazing card. The betting odds for the main event seem to constantly be changing. Some people are saying Chimaev's going to get it done in round 1. Other people are saying that Dricus is going to out-cardio him. I believe that Chimaev will get the win either way. This is how you know a card is good, when even all of the casuals know this is happening. I swear all of the Aussie MMA casuals, they call Khamzat Chimaev, and I'm like, bro, as soon as someone says Chimaev to me, I know they're a casual, and I feel safe there, man. I feel like I can blend in. When I broke down this fight, I looked at DDP's stretch of opponents, and he has always fought opponents that tend to be very technical, especially in the striking department. He fights guys that come in with a game plan, thinking that they can out-fight IQ a guy that has 0 fight IQ to begin with. We all know Dricus as the fighter that comes in throwing windmill punches and face planting into the takedowns, and you know what? It's very effective. It works for him because, like I said, the guys that he's been competing against have been very technical. Take Adesanya for an example, right? It was a very close fight up until the finish, but ultimately what got DDP that win was just how relentless he is. And in that finishing sequence when he went for that takedown, it was the most cartoon thing I've ever seen in my life, and that's just not going to work against someone like Chimaev. Chimaev is also a very chaotic fighter. I do think he's a lot more tactical and has a lot better technique than Dricus, but he'll be willing to go into that firefight with him. I guarantee these two guys are going to clash heads at some point in this fight. There will be at least 2 headbutts. DDP has never fought a high-level wrestler like Khamzat Chimaev. He fought Derek Brunson and he is kind of known for his takedown threat, but there's levels, man. Chimaev is just leagues above him, and when you look at that fight, Derek Brunson was able to take down Dricus and he had a lot of success on the ground. Not to mention as well, in the Whitaker fight, Whitaker was also able to take down Dricus. Yes, he didn't do too much on the ground with him, but he was able to scramble and get in good positions, and Dricus kind of looked like a fish out of water on the ground, to be honest. The fighters that Dricus has had success with on the ground are guys that aren't known for their wrestling. Like I said, Izzy, even Strickland to an extent, even though I know Strickland comes from a wrestling background, he hardly ever uses it, man. Let's be honest, he just teeps. And I think we can actually use that Strickland fight for a really good reference here. The easiest path of victory for DDP in that Strickland fight would have been to take it to the ground, but he opted not to, and I think fighters tend to have natural instincts, and I don't think DDP's natural instinct is to wrestle. It's to strike. He comes from a kickboxing background. I'm sure he's worked a ton on his wrestling, but I'm sure that every past opponent of Khamzat Chimaev also did the same. I also think that Chimaev's boxing is extremely underrated. We saw it against Burns. Even though Chimaev got caught a lot in that fight, I believe that every fighter before they get to a title should have a fight like that, where they have to face a ton of adversity, get knocked down, and it will just show us whether they can weather the storm, and he proved to us that he can. He even had the better cardio in that 3rd round. Gilbert Burns was completely fatigued and Chimaev kind of got a second win. That being said, I see this fight going one of 2 ways. Either a very early submission win for Chimaev or a decision win for Chimaev. For some reason, a lot of people disagree with me on that. Everyone thinks that if this fight goes past the 3rd round, that Dricus is going to absolutely out-cardio him, and I don't know where this came from. When Dricus came into the UFC, everyone was bullying him for his lack of cardio, and then he had one good fight where he kept up a high pace, and everyone just completely switched up. That's the MMA community in a nutshell. Dricus did get no surgery, which I'm sure helps, you know, his breathing, but when you look at his most recent fight against Adesanya, he got gassed in that later round. There was this one clip from the fight where Dricus goes for the takedown, lands on his face, and Izzy just basically calls him to stand back up. And Dricus is taking his time to stand up because he's so tired, and the ref threatens to stop the fight if he doesn't get up. And again, keep in mind, that was with no defensive wrestling. DDP didn't have to worry about a takedown threat in that fight at all, and I think that's why his cardio is looking so good lately. He's only fighting people that want to keep the fight on the feet. We haven't seen how his endurance can cope after, you know, his opponent is constantly shooting takedowns, smothering him on the ground and making him scramble out of position. It's a completely different ball game, and it's something that no one's taking into consideration. I believe that this fight will be mostly on the ground, and out of these 2 guys, I actually favor Chimaev's cardio on the ground in the wrestling because that's his strong point. So yes, if it does go to a decision, I really do favor Chimaev. Not to mention as well that Chimaev seems to have a way better camp in order. He has better coaches. He's even training with Sam Sam Calvita, which I believe is TJ Dillashaw's old strength and endurance coach. Look at me pretending I'm a hardcore. I don't think I need to really explain why I think Chimaev could also get that early submission win. I think when we look at his past fights, he's an absolute squirrel chasing that nut in that first round. The fact that Chimaev was also able to control Kamaru Usman in the wrestling just really shows the levels of his wrestling. So if I had to make my prediction, this is how I see the fight going. I see Chimaev coming out in that first round really explosive, but also trying to manage his pace, and I think Dricus will make a mistake, Chimaev will get the takedown, and he will control him on the ground for that first round. Then I believe that second round will be mainly a striking match. I think Dricus will go back to his corner after that first round. I'll tell him not to throw any more Looney Tune combos. DDP will probably defend a couple of takedowns in that second round, and he'll stay standing most of that round. I think it'll be a 50-50 round. Like I said though, Chimaev's boxing is extremely underrated, and when you look at Dricus Du Plessis' stand-up game, a lot of his main weapons that he uses are his kicks. And when you're fighting a wrestler like Chimaev, the last thing you want to do is kick because it leaves you extremely vulnerable for a takedown. So I really don't see Dricus throwing all that many kicks, so it's really going to be a hand-striking matchup. Anyway, I can see it going into the third round, and Chimaev will get that second win in the third round and will take Dricus down. Dricus will start to fatigue a little bit, and for some reason I can really see Chimaev on DDP's back and getting a face crank similar to the one that he got against Whitaker. I think he's just got a brutal squeeze, and I think Dricus will be smart enough to not give up his neck that easily. So yeah, I've got the premonition I can weirdly see Chimaev just getting that face crank on him, and it will be a tap. I could also see it going to ground and pound, but if I had to guess, Khamzat Chimaev via round 3 face crank. So yeah, that's my main event prediction for the UFC 319 Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev card. I'm joking, I know it's Chimaev. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you guys do drop a like on this video and make sure to subscribe as well. I will be dropping my UFC 319 full main card prediction later this week, so make sure you guys do check that out, but I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.